Uh, Hello, everyone. I apologize for my late arrival. I was tutoring somebody, um, so I was a little bit late. For those who've just joined my stream or don't know, what I'm doing here is a variation of eBay, where someone can sign up, create an offer, create a product, create an offer for that product, and then other people can sign up and then buy that product, and all of the little pieces that go along with that. This idea came from another student of mine that I tutor. They're, of course, doing a very different variation of it, but I decided to do this in the following technologies: Nest for the back end with MongoDB, and on the front end, I'm trying out Svelte. So I'm also trying to stream this on both Twitch and YouTube for the very first time, so we'll see how that actually goes. Um, I don't know how well it'll go off, but I'll give it a try. What I've done so far is I've created the majority of the backend pieces for, you see over here, the backend pieces for the products, for the sales, for the categories. So you have products, you have the user, the sale, the product for the offers, and the categories. So those are the back-end pieces that I've created so far. On the front end, I've made the main search page. I've added the product page, and I was working on the sale form and the offer page. At this particular point, that's just where I'm at. So the pieces or the logic so far has been: you go to the main page, you're going to search for a product, the system's going to look and try to find that product. If a product does exist, it's going to show you the offers for that particular product and allow you to buy it. Where I left off at this particular point is, once you find an offer that you want, what's missing is the ability to actually complete the sale. And it's because I had paused to try to tie in the login logic. Because right now, when a person purchases a product, we need to track all of like what's happened. We need to log the person and so forth and so on. And the question was, how do I handle that particular logic? And I had thought about it a little bit, and what I ultimately decided to do was create a separate login page. And when a person goes from, say, the product page or the sale page to the login page, we're going to just keep track of we're just going to keep track of where they came from in a cookie, or really in the Svelte store, as we call it. And then once they finish logging in, if there's a redirect token, it will redirect them back to where they were. Start working on some of that. The login page for this. I'm not looking at any sites right now. I'm uh, just testing out how things sound. Uh, some settings. So I do apologize if I'm not sharing my browser at this moment. So anyway, where was I? Making a login page. Page.svelte product plus login.svelte, and we'll see if this works. Oh, I'm new to Svelte, for those who don't know, so I'm just kind of figuring things out on the fly. It seems to be a nice, I guess you could say, a nice mix of, say, component-based architecture, with a couple other smaller pieces. So it reminds me a little bit of Vue, but also not. Kind of like a markup language, but at the same particular point, also not quite like Vue. So there's some neat pieces here and there. So let me go ahead and try this login page. Let's go ahead and add, go to our layout here, add login and logout buttons in the upper right hand corner. Let's look at how that's supposed to work in Svelte. And I'm informed that this is called SvelteKit. So picture size, creating a project. This is massive. Let's shrink you down 100%. Creating a project. Form and form actions. All right, so we have that, but I think what I really want to mess around with is Svelte and the layout page, because we want to add a login in the upper right hand corner for both login and logouts. Svelte kit layout. So advanced routing using advanced layout in SvelteKit. Let's take a look. Previously, So the way you do layout is you kind of have a, looks like you just add the plus layout.svelte, and then for, if you're going to do what's called server-side rendering, and for those who don't know, server-side rendering is when you take, there's two ways in which you can render information. You can have the server generate all the code for you and then display it on the screen. That's great because then if you have a lot of information or you need a lot of server heavy things processed, hey, how's it going? If you have a lot of server heavy things processed, you can have it create all of that and then render the page, and that's where you have server-side rendering. A lot of websites, but not all, just do what is known as client-side rendering, and client-side rendering is when you have the browser do a lot of the heavy lifting, and that's where it's, you know, doing the JavaScript for you, reaching back out to the server, pulling in information and displaying it. And so there's more nuance to it, and please feel free to like discuss more so, but there are a couple different approaches for that. And so if we add a plus layout.server.ts, it will do what's known as server-side rendering. But in this particular instance, I just want to add like some login and logout buttons to this. And actually, while I'm here, I guess I should actually see how the people in SvelteKit do logins. There might be some nuances there that I might be missing. Authentication in Svelte. If there's anything, I mean, again, I have the store set up, so I'm good there. Thanks to one of my users, thanks to one of the viewers who gave me some really good information on how to add the Svelte persisted store. So that's the library that I'm using. Oh yeah, but I actually want to see if there's any type of dashboard in terms of if there's anything unusual that I needed to keep track of for login. So they're doing it on page.svelte. I see. User logout. Hooks. I don't need anything like that just yet. Let's see. I don't want to do, I'm not doing protected routes. I think if ever I do another Svelte product, I'll probably make it more comprehensive and do something like that. Login page structure. So I really want, it's the structure. So the question that I don't know off the top of my head, and maybe it's over here in, yeah, let's take a look at project structure, is whether or not for my routes I need a plus on everything. So, including data form actions, adapters, advanced routing. Let's see. Because I'm thinking that I would put, it looks like a path. Oh, so it would be path and then plus page. So I think my structure is wrong. I think instead of a plus login svelte, I would do a new page and I would call it a new folder. And I would call that directory login. And inside of the login folder, I would do a plus page.svelte. And I no longer need login. And for the layout itself, let's take a look at the structure that some people have come up with for layout. Admin layout. Let's take a look and see what svelte head it looks like. Bringing out layouts. Oh, wow, you can really do layouts for each and every level. That's not bad. That's nice. Let's see what any of that looks like. Svelte head. Svelte head. I guess we could just make a div. Let's try that. And we're going to move everything over to the right. Do a div, and we'll create href equals, go to login. See what that looks like. Let's start a few of these things. So let's go ahead and run our command and start up our application. cd drive. CLS. What? Nope. Either. I'm a little disappointed. There we go. So we have our project over here, cd simplebay is the name of it, and then we have our server here, and we can just do, I believe it's npm. Actually, we can just do npm and see what commands there are. npm run, and what commands do we have? We want to do start dev, so we'll do npm start dev. Did I miss? I did. npm run start dev. And this is how Nest starts. Looks like everything's loading up just fine. I'll just move this over to the side so it's out of the way. We have our head, and then to run svelte. So I always forget this. It's probably because, again, I've only dealt with svelte just for this project. It's this command right here, npm run dev, and I always forget it. I don't know why. So we'll come back over here to WebStorm, npm run dev. We're not in the right folder. dir cd. I think I just called you app. Yep. And then npm run dev. And now we have our server running at 127 port 51. Oh, there it is. Login, search for product. I think it looks kind of bad for right now, but it's also massive. Let's take a look. I think something is off, and it's me, I think. Div slot. I think. Yeah, I can. Let's take a look. I don't see anything weird in here, but I do see, let's see what we have. There's our login, there's our body, there's that one div. I see. Svelte, and Svelte head, and then our page. It should be fine. Let's see something. Let's take you out. Let's see. Yeah, no, something's off when I add in the layout. But maybe I don't need the Svelte head in the layout. Maybe I can just do just the layout without the Svelte head. I imagine that should work just fine. And then have control over that. We'll need to, I've already imported it here. I'll have to take a look at what Svelte head does. Give me a second. It looks like it was wrapping it in a div, but let's see what it actually looks like. Yeah, nope, now it puts it kind of back, but let's look at what Svelte head does before we Svelte and Svelte kit Svelte. It would help if I could spell Svelte head. I don't see. I wish there was some. Let's look at if there's some more documentation on it. I mean, oh, I see. It should actually represent the head of the document. So I put it in the wrong spot. It should actually go up here, and we should call you Simple Bay Robots. That should work just fine. And now let's see how it looks. If we come back to here, refresh. Ooh, it still doesn't like it. I think it's adding a head, but I can't tell off the top of my head. Doc type HTML. I think I might need to modify that Svelte head a bit, but let's see. Let's read about it. Doesn't look like normal. What is it? Maybe notice two similar tags. These are placeholders which can be placed. Your first layout. Adding styles. I am unsure of why Svelte head is breaking. It looks like you could put things in like the title. I don't see anything else off the top of my head code-wise, but when I go, it does seem to be adding the title. There we go. By just keeping the title simple, I think some of the other meta tags, like HTML language equal English, might have been breaking some stuff. So, going up, so we're going to have our login, and I think we're going to need to grab whether a person is logged in or not. And so, yeah, we'll get user from preferences and come over here to our layout and do the same thing. And we'll use the page, we'll use the Svelte if statement. I have one of those, yeah, right here. So if the user is logged in, then we'll display log out. Otherwise, and yeah, if user then I think it's, what is it? Is it else? If I think that's wrong though. Do I have it else? Control else. It's colon else. Colon else. And I don't actually want it to do anything. I want it to do an on-click function. So the on-click function we wanted to do is actually kill the user. So const, I guess we could call it kill user, but let's do something more common. It's going to be equals to logout. And here, let's look at the documentation for this particular tool. I think it is called, yeah, Svelte Store. So let's come over here to our, what is the piece called? Yeah, there it is. Svelte Persisted Store. So we're going to take a look at the Svelte Persisted Store documentation. Svelte Persisted Store. Store on click. Yeah, this is the library. It's massive again. So let's bring you down. Right table. This isn't quite the one we want. Let's take a look again. It might be the one we want. So package.json. And we want the, yeah, it's called Svelte Persisted Store, version 7. Let's take a look at that one. Svelte Persisted Store. I don't think that's the one we want. Let's look for it here. Svelte Persisted Store. This is the one. Yep, this is the one we want. So subscribe. We want a set. So we'll do preferences.set and come back over to here. We'll go over to our layout, and when we log out, we'll do preferences.set and persisted set value. I guess. Do we want to set the whole thing? Hold on a second. Let's take a look at store. So we could actually do this instead. So it looks like we can do export const user info. Hey, how's it going? I don't know if it was just a fun project. There wasn't like one thing. There's lots of programming languages I could have picked. Part of the reason why I picked JS, if you're asking, is because it's actually what I end up doing. A lot of software engineers these days end up working on the front end, and there's a lot of front end technologies that are available, so I chose this one. But my job for the most part is Angular, React, some C#, occasionally Node. Well, I don't want to say occasionally Node, but there's a bunch out there. Some people prefer other stuff, but you know, I don't mind this. And I think it's one of those things where it really depends on what your job is. So yeah, if I were a Python developer, I think, but I mean, not to say that I won't do Python. I just, for my first project that I streamed, I chose Nest.js. I don't like that Node has such a minimal standard library. Well, again, I chose Nest.js for the backend for this one. A lot of companies seem to be using Nest.js over straight Node, so that's what I opted for the backend this time. I don't know if I have a preferences, and then we'll do a separate export const for the redirect. And just trying also out a bunch of stuff. Another user suggested that I use Svelte on the front end, so I'm just trying it out. Now again, I've used straight Node, I've used straight React, Angular, Vue, but this is what I opted for the for just this time, first time streaming. Update, subscribe. So I could use user info. I have to change a bunch of stuff. Preferences, git preferences, and here preferences dot set. Yes, we set an object. Let's check out how that works. Yeah, Nest is. I did a brief intro. It's broken up into two pieces. So we have the server, which is in Nest.js, and then I'm using a separate front end. I'm not using like a view engine inside of Node, but I'm using a completely separate front end piece called Svelte. So on the back end, I have my Nest running, and then on the front end, I have Svelte. I feel like this is a bit more of what the majority of the companies that I have worked for have done, is that separation of concern where they have the backend running as a standardized API. It also means that if you have other applications, of course, as you know, you have other applications that need to access the API, you can do that. So let's take a look. Where was I? Svelte. Sorry, on links. No. It was on clicks. But I'm new to Svelte. I am not new to straight JavaScript. It's Svelte that's really kind of a little weird for me personally. But I don't know why I'm looking here. I have an example that I can look for. Here. Sale page. Build search URL. Do search. Yeah, again, I don't like it as much, but again, I've gotten far more used to that separation. Again, I took it as a request from one of the viewers. I don't hate it, but I don't know outside of, unless I get hired by a company that's going to be like, we use Svelte, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I've used Svelte for a project or two or three. If that case comes up, but the majority of the companies I worked for have started to move away from that. I mean, React still does it, of course, but class bind value select button. There it is. So React still does it, but I worked on the majority of the projects that I now work in React. I did work on Angular for like 5 years straight, and Angular is really big on like that separation. See if that works. If it's instantaneous. Let's do a fake out here. Let's do user info.set. Let's do it as an object. Set. Test. Let's see if it's instantaneous. Does it track it? We'll see. There are a bunch of like little things that I don't know about Svelte that I will be trying to see what happens. So it does look like it does keep track of it. So if we set it here and then we come back, if we log in, all right. So we know that the login page generally works. or like the logout generally works. Tested you. It'll refresh that. If the user exists, it should be log out, not log in. And then over here, let's actually, I guess, do the login page. I'm also using Tailwind, which I'm not by any means a master of. The large majority of the companies that I worked for either wrote their own CSS or used Bootstrap. And even when they did write their own CSS, if you will, they still preferred to use like templating or larger CSS libraries, just because, again, when you're producing tons and tons of code, you want something that's, you want to be fairly fast about it. So I'm trying out Tailwind as well. So you'll see me make a lot of mistakes while I try to figure out how to use Tailwind and Svelte and Nest.js. Yeah, even though a lot of people, there seems to be a weird, like, people don't like it, but companies use it. And I think it's just because you can literally be like, table, and most people just don't care and go. It does make it hard to upgrade. I recently dealt with a larger fight where we had been a few years behind, and you know, suddenly we upgraded, and it just put us in a really unusual position, and we had to fix a ton of stuff. And we were at a version of Bootstrap where we hadn't even done. We were at a version of Bootstrap where it wasn't even using Flex, so it was a really big change. Let's look. Do group graph 4. Does it do offsets? Let's see. Major versions are painful. One moment. Sorry about that. Had to clear my throat. This doesn't look bad. I don't see. Let's see. Offset? Quick search. Nope. I wonder if grids gap 4. Let's see what else is available. Search. Grid. Offset. Offset underline. Offset underline. Let's see. Let me do another Google search. I'm going to shift my chair around one moment. There we go, slightly more comfortable. So, Tailwind, CSS grid, offset. I imagine it has to have. Oh yeah, so call span, call. Let's take a look at what these look like. So, oh, yeah, all right, call span, then start end. Huh. I feel like that is one small thing that I think might be a slight advantage. But wait, look. Oh, okay, so cool. All right, so they do have it. So I'm going to steal this box here and come over here to our layout and use that. I like the way that looks. End 3? Yeah. Column end 8, div 1, 2. Call end. I'll just connect all these front end devs today. So come and so fast over the last years. Yes, but it's also become it's complicated, and it really depends on how you want to do it. It doesn't have to be. I think Svelte is an attempt to try to make things easier, but at the same particular point, it also has made things more complex. And again, it's nice. You have much more reusable components, which is definitely part of one of the principles that we have aimed for. We started aiming for more separation of concerns. We started aiming for making things much more efficient. TypeScript has taken a really big hold rather than straight JavaScript, but a lot of people still need to learn JavaScript. So you do have some good things. You have interfaces coming into play. Again, TypeScript is being strongly typed. So I think you're seeing a lot of really good things come about in terms of making the code more structured, cleaner, easier to read, easier to use in the actual coding aspect. But it is definitely more complex. And you run into the problem where if you have a very large application, you're talking about massive amounts of components. The other downside is that some people, and many companies do, I guess let's say some companies, let's say a good number of them have started to move towards creating custom component libraries. And for those who don't know, custom component libraries are just when you and your development team create a series of kind of standardized components that can be reused again and again. They're great when you need to reuse them, but it also does mean that, similar to what you were saying before with the upgrades, if a modification needs to happen, it takes so much effort. You now have to be like, all right, I modified this one thing, but we use it in 27 other places. What? Yeah, we use that particular one component in 27 other places. Does your code break this code in all those other 27 places? And you're just like, oh my God. But people want the flexibility. They want stupidly large amounts of flexibility. So what can you do about that? A div class equals call. So is it this one? This one? But again, it is allowing for people to make some really neat applications these days. So we'll see how it goes. Huh, login. That's not bad. It's still kind of generally aligned, so we can do the login. We can make that font bigger. I'll have to take a look at that link later. What exactly is it? I'll take a look later. Thanks, though. Huh. Fair enough. I have opinions. I don't know if they're worth it though. And part of that is because I think the fight in terms of development is just that. Like, everyone has their opinions and perspectives. For instance, there was a debate amongst the developers at one of the companies I work for where some people so in many, but not all, I don't even say many. Let's just say there are some programming languages that their if statements don't require the curly brackets if it's just one line. I think that's supported by C#. I think that's supported by JavaScript, TypeScript. So you had that, and there was a debate because some people were like, we prefer our if statements without the curly brackets when it's only one line. And another group of people were like, it makes it harder for us to like follow the code when it's tightly packed. And that debate lasted for like 30 minutes. And some people were like, it makes it harder to read. And other people was like, no, it makes it easier to read. And you're just like, I don't really like, is this what we're spending our 30 minutes doing, debating this? But people care. People care a lot. So like coding style comes into play. People feel very strongly about how things, and some people don't feel strongly until they actually go to either do an upgrade or fix code or a refactor, and suddenly like they're like, oh, we should have done this differently. And you look back and you're like, oh, hindsight is 2020. And yeah, some people say that, and some people are like reading it like that, and I'm just like, yeah, it takes a lot more time to read. I don't know if I feel that strongly about it past the point. Like, curly bracket or not, like, I think it depends on the language and how some people feel about it, and I just don't know if I care enough. I should. I just don't. Curly brackets, not curly brackets, and it's also partially because of me. Give me 1 second again. It's because of me. At the end of the day, I work a full-time job where I write code all day. Currently, I'm writing in Kotlin, TypeScript, C#. But I then afterwards tutor people in JavaScript, HTML, CSS, C#, PHP, whatever. And then when I'm not doing that, I spend my time. Look, I'm literally spending my Friday night writing code for a project that no one's ever going to see outside of, like, I guess a few people on the internet. Like, that's how much I enjoy coding. So for me, that extra, like, oh no, reading the curly bracket. I was going to stare at code for like 14 hours today anyway. So, like, that extra, like, few minutes of staring at, like, a curly bracket or a bunch of curly brackets, how is that going to affect me? Oh yeah, it wasn't, because I was going to spend 14 hours staring at code anyway, staring at writing it, dreaming about code. It's there's a really cool shirt out there that somebody got me where it's a person, a stick figure, staring at code all day, and then at night dreaming of staring at code. And I'm just like, yep, nope, that's totally me. There are nights when I, like, lay down and I'm just like, wait, did I do that right? Maybe there's another approach. And I've, like, gotten up and, like, oh no, let me rethink about this approach in a different way. So I've had that happen. So yeah, it doesn't bother me at all to be like, oh no, you're going to read a few more bits of code. But that's me. I don't think it's fair to quite group everyone in that same category. There are some people who are going to be very much so like, no, we don't want to stare at code all day. And I know some people who will, who, are in boot camps now, who find that after like 3 or 4 hours of coding, they're a little burnt out. So I think everyone's got to kind of figure that out for themselves. Category 3, text large, text style. Cool. The login page. Let's go ahead and write that down. I don't actually do that. And when I say I don't actually do that, once they've reached a certain level, yes. But what I first try to get them in the mood for, or in the mindset of, is to start thinking a little bit like a programmer. So the problem solving, paying attention to syntax first. So it'll be like, and I start with HTML. Some people prefer starting them off with another programming language, but I start people off with HTML and CSS. And I just get them into the habit of just remembering to put in end tags, remembering that spelling matters, remembering that when you name this ID, or yeah, it's not programming, but the tagging, like, they need to be able to remember. Like, you'll run into starting developers who are like, select. And then they're like, why doesn't this work? Because it auto-filled in the slash for you, when you really shouldn't. It should have just been like, so you want to put something in here. But they don't know. So I start off with just getting them to think about that consistency. I usually introduce them to JavaScript first, because anyone can do it in a browser. I then expand onto other languages after that. You can just use, like, there's other things. I know people are like, well, you could introduce them to Python or C# or Ruby or a variety of other different languages. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to start bogging them down so early on with like strongly typed things. Not that I don't think it's important, but like they don't even know what a variable is, let alone a strongly typed variable. So then I'm like, integer. Well, you defined it as an it, and trying to keep all of that, in their heads. So yeah, I usually start off with HTML, CSS, just so they can kind of get the feel for it. Then I introduce them to vanilla JavaScript and just start off with the basics of like variables and arrays, functions, objects, classes, and it gives them the start so that then they can dive deeper into, I usually introduce them after that to TypeScript. And I actually lean towards React over, say, Vue or Angular. I don't mind PHP. I used to like it. The problem is the setup for it right now requires a slightly more complex application than Node. I can tell them to go download Node. It's a one app install and they're good. Whereas if I have to tell them to use like, and again, most of the people that I'm teaching or tutoring or teaching, as I do both, are on Windows machines, or they're on Mac. So then if they're on Mac, they have to grab, they have to figure out, well, how do I install Apache or NG? Is it NGIX? NGINX? Nginx? They have to figure out how to install that. They have to figure out how to install the PHP library, so forth and so on. If you're going to do Windows, or you can download MAMP, which is, I think it's Mac, Apache, MySQL, PHP, and Perl, or PHP. Or on Windows, it's WAMP, which is Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So you have to get that all installed and kind of get all of that where I feel like I can literally go and close folder. So like, again, in Node, you can come over here and be like console.log hello world, and then just tell them now type in node test.js, and voila, they can see their actual code right off the bat. And I can get them to get immediate feedback on things like, oh, I created a variable, and see how that looks and see how that reacts and get that immediate feedback. And that I feel seems to have helped some of the beginning developers because they can get immediate feedback on the mistakes that they made rather than PHP. I save it to a file and I go to a browser and refresh. Or again, the whole setup is more complex. Then you have to make sure, because I think by default, not all PHP installs show errors. So you have to then say like, hey, I want you to also show errors. So there's just other little things. There are versions of PHP for Node, but again, that's also introducing them to things like, all right, so now figure out how to do package installs. And again, your basic user is barely figuring out command line, barely. So you're like, now do npm I, and they're like, what is that? And they don't even know. But I can literally be like, go to, what is it? I can go here, type in Node, click on download, install it, and then they can just download Visual Studio Code, create a test.js, and then like, now console.log a, and run it. Very easy. But again, that's my perspective. Lots of people have different ways. I kind of stole my perspective from a couple of the boot camps, because I kept tutoring people in boot camps who had been rushed through HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and dropped at the doorstep of Node and Express, and with very little explanation, and it caused so many people problems. So I was like, well, they're consistently doing this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for a reason. So I thought, why not stick with that? So, and it's worked out pretty well so far. So, find. But I mean, I'm always open for options and opinions on that. Um, I just I don't like to introduce people to things like variables and what have you without them being able to get immediate feedback. And again, it's nice to be able to do it, but again, not everyone's interested in that. I don't need on mount. I do need the endpoints. Don't need you. Don't need you. Don't need you. Don't need you. Yeah. And by the way, right off the bat, one of the things that's going to make you incredibly grumpy is I ran into problems with encryption with MongoDB and Nest for some reason. Now I've set this up many, many times before, but for some reason it it it's running into trouble. So right off the bat, I will let you know that my MongoDB password is not encrypted. It's plain text, and I know it's horrible. So I'm just letting you know right off the bat. Like I was just like, okay, this is a project that no one's ever going to run or ever going to see. Well, I mean, some people will see it, but like I knew right off the bat. I was like, I don't want plain text. But after fighting with it for like 30 minutes, I was like, is this really worth it for such a small project? No. But I have a few ideas of what it might be, and so rather than fight with it on here, I just was like, I'll just let it go for now, but then keep that in mind next time, because usually I don't like doing that. I don't like using plain text passwords, but I know somebody's going to be like, what's he doing? That's a plain text password, and I'll be like, yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. And I don't mean plain text password in terms of the field here. I meant plain text password in the database. And again, I'm so sorry about it. It's I just don't know if it's worth it for me to fight with I just don't know if it's worth it for me to fight for like 30 minutes on it. But I might come back to it. Depends on how I feel. It's not like there's anyone who cares. Yeah, and again, if I were deploying this, totally different answer. But I'm only ever going to run this locally. It's, again, just a fun project for me to try out Nest and Svelte and Tailwind. So if ever I have code that I decide to share with the world, then I will, work much harder and make sure that it's encrypted. Yeah, and that's actually another thing that I want to try out. A lot of the companies that I've worked for have used DevOps, so developer operations. And for those who don't know what that means, that's just someone who sits out there and generally maintains your servers and sets up your environments and so forth and so on. And they're not necessarily developers. Sometimes they are, but these days you might run into them and they're not developers. So today's stream is just going to be to set up the login page, which is what I'm doing now. Set up the login page, get the person logged in, get that working so that when a person logs in, it finishes that. I think if you didn't hear my explanation earlier on, the approach that I'm going to take is if a person goes from like a sale page or a products page to the login page, I'm going to have it write a little redirect URL so that if they log in and the redirect URL is available, then it redirects them back to that redirect URL. But that's all that I'm working on today, is just the login page and the login page and then maybe this offer page. I started on it before. Give me 1 second. On this. Let's do a login. So I got that up the other day. So I clearly can't spell. So it pulls up the products, and should pull up the products. Let's see. I think I messed up. Cleared out a bunch of stuff. So still too big. Still too big. Oh, no, it's cutting stuff off. Well, that's terrible news. All right. Offers for this product. Offer product equals 13C. And then fresh. Yeah, you should be there. Products. I think I messed something up in my when I modified sale. So let's do a search. Yep. But give me a second. I don't want to bounce around too much. So products, page.ts. Offer endpoint. I don't see anything wrong there. Let's take a look at what our endpoint says since we have that pulled up. Console. Syntax error in network. Page.ts. XXR localhost product search league. That's not right. Internal error. Take a look. Internal error. We should even have a not found. I don't see anything over here. Let's see. But yes, DevOps could be that. But some of the companies I worked for actually had a completely separate group of individuals who managed the deployment, so forth and so on. We as developers had access to like specifically roll out one, but it was ultimately managed by someone else. So change you around and not update you. Page, products, components, products, single page ID. No, that's the right URL. And then products. Yep. So internal server, internal error. Let's take a look at something. So we're here. Let's take a look at the data and debugger it. So it depends on the application. You have to, in most of your front-end applications, at least in this, you have to create your own logging if you want to do all of that. It's not something that is always built in. Yeah, that's the other thing. There's syntax error. Oh, I know why. I went ahead. I know exactly what the problem is. I went ahead and for anyone who was paying attention, I went ahead and modified the store and took out preferences and put in user info as the variable. But I haven't changed it in all the other spots. And I forgot to do that. Preferences, open a new window, import preferences, and it should be user info, not preferences. So that should fix you. And it's import preferences, user info, user and that'll be in the product offers table. That was completely on me. User info from store. There we go. So, oh, I've left a debugger statement in there. No bother. Product offers, products table, page.ts, page.ts. Oh, there it is. Am I getting a project to TypeScript in that? No, yeah, TypeScript is particular. It is particular about things in ways that like you're just like, oh, really? And it's like, yeah. You also, I mean, it does again make you hold you accountable, and it does make things a little easier though. So I can't fault it. But sometimes it does make things a little uncomfortable. You're just like, I really just want to do this one thing real quick, and it's like, nope, you gotta do the proper type, etc. So you search for product. From here, it shows you all the various offers for that particular product. The eventual idea is to have it so that someone can choose to add a product, but I haven't added that step yet. And then when you choose buy, this is what I have so far. It shows you the name of the product description, the offer description, and I need to replace this area here, but this works. It allows you to are Turing complete? But yeah, so you have to add in, I have to modify this with the offer details, and I put this into a number selector, so you can't select less than 0, and as you go, it automatically recalculates, and the purchase button is made available as long as there is a valid quantity, and the quantity can't go for more than what the offer is available. So types are really neat. They're kind of nice. I didn't enjoy them as much. Again, I got used to normal JavaScript for a number of years, so I didn't enjoy them as much. I've come to appreciate them, but again, when you're just like, I want to get something done fast, it doesn't always feel as great. But again, as you have your application grow larger and larger, it's really nice to have. Login page. So excuse me. So we're going to login page. If no login or no password, just return, and then to actually do the login. The endpoint that I created for that, expand server, source, user, controller, login, takes a create user DTO, email and password. It's not called login, so it should be email and password. Come back up. Page. Email. Email. And otherwise, it should be user slash insomnia. I use insomnia for my testing login request. User slash login. Cool. So, though I don't mind, why can't I remember the name of it? Postman. That's what it is. I end up using insomnia, but I haven't seen it. What's the latest update for the Postman? Can't use it anymore without. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Everyone's moved to some version um, of a login or account these days. It just everyone loves it. Yeah, Netflix took away a bunch of stuff, so yeah, you can't use it anymore without an account. I imagine that's I don't know what to tell you. They were bound to do so anyway eventually. So be sure I'll point. I have not tried out Prono. again, I've been using Insomnia locally, but the downside is that unlike Postman, where you can kind of choose to share it amongst your whole team, Insomnia you can't quite do that. You can choose to export it. So like you could take the application, and you can take it up here and choose to take your environment and manage it, and it does let you. It's massive. It does let you. I have to find out where it is. Tools. Is it here? Hold on a second. Yeah, I think. Does it let you export? Project settings. It used to let you. Yeah, you can import, and it used to let you, and I don't know where it is in here, but you used to be able to export. So that's one of the things that that people seem to really like. And again, my team used to use Insomnia, but they switched over to Postman. So JavaScript. So let's write our fetch, our post request. To URL and login endpoint. Oh, that'd be really interesting. If you feel like coming back, let me know how that works. Again, I'm much more used to Insomnia, but I've used Postman as well. I don't have really strong feelings about it. Do I want to? Let's do it. Let's keep my fetch the same way I've done it everywhere else. I don't want to change it up now. I think it would look weird. I don't need to build the full search URL, but I am going to do wait response. Wait. Login URL. Method. Post. Then let's take out. We should stringify. Now I really actually, though I've used fetch a lot, I actually like, or I used to like, I don't know if it's supported anymore. There was a good API library, or there was an API library. Let's see. Let's look for we call it fetch alternative. That I don't know if it's supported anymore. Axios, that's what it was. No, not fetch. Axios, but I think it got depreciated. Not the news. Oh no, I guess it's still around. I thought at one point it become deprecated and people weren't using it anymore. But it looks like it's still around. I thought it had kind of become deprecated. But yeah, no, I really like Axios. But I decided not to use it for this project. Some people grumble about the fact that for Axios you want to using Axios kind of is a little bit of cheating, but also rather than deal with the possibility of it being used in a browser that doesn't support it, fetch is kind of universally supported. So that's often what I'll end up using, but that's about it. is equal to response dot, and we want to await you. Console.log, login response. Let's see if this works. Hey, there's our login page, there's our email, there's a password, and let's do a test. And we do have our console up so we can see what data we get back. Test, password, test. Oof, oof. I left some old code in there. We are using down 250 errors and 15 warnings. Oh, well, congratulations on that. Congratulations on that. What prompted you guys to use to switch over? I ever since my journey went, my development journey for very specifically with JavaScript went JavaScript, jQuery, and jQuery JavaScript for a number of years to eventually Angular and TypeScript. So I actually went JavaScript for a long time, and my first introduction to frameworks was Angular. So yeah, I skipped prototyping and modules. So I went straight from just like vanilla JavaScript and jQuery, and someone was like, we're switching to Angular. What? When? Now. And so I literally had to like figure out components and so much other stuff before I even learned about modules and all of that stuff. Invalid password or unauthorized. Cool. No, not AngularJS. Angular 2.0. I skipped the AngularJS, just straight Angular, not AngularJS. So I jumped right into Angular 2, which again meant that I was saved Angular, the whole AngularJS headache, but I don't have a user created. I need to create a user. Let me create a user real quick. New user request, send, cool, login. And I have all of the routes and everything already pre-set up over here. I already have a new user request, so that's what I'm doing. So now if you log in, there's my ID, there's my email. I have it excluding the password. I should look up get the status code. So Nest is nice because it automatically gives you most of the status codes built in, so you don't have to fight with it. Which is nice. But I guess we'll just catch it. Console.log. Yep, that's what we want to do. I should put in some, I'll pick a note here. There's a lot of like little things that I think when you're developing an app for yourself that you kind of exclude when you go through, and then you look back and you're like, as a good UI developer, you're like, man, I should have added proper error handling and like little warnings to customers that like you didn't log in correctly and proper pop-ups. And then you look back and you're like, that's a lot of damned work. Like, and you look back at how much work is like, what? Yeah. So like, what if they put in the email or password wrongs? Well, give them little red boxes. There's just, and a lot of times there's libraries for that now, so like you don't have to fight it nearly as much, but like there's just so much that you look back and like, what? You need to check for the status, and if it's not right, give them a proper error message, and you're just like, oh my god, what? And now that I think about it, like, how much did we have to fight before now? So I'm going to be lazy. I completely admit it. I'm just going to put an alert. Invalid email or password. And I think because I want to look at how to do modiles in Svelte. I want to add a to-do here. Add a proper modile. And I feel like there's a ton of projects that like I get really deep into, and then I'm like, to do this one thing is like a week's worth of work for like such small benefit, and then I'm like, do I really want to do this? I don't know if I do. Where a JS request doesn't handle an error and the website just hangs it. Yep. Again, because it's a weird. And it's usually older websites. I think most of us have gotten better at it these days. Like we try not to let that happen. We end up aiming for bad default error handling over something specific. So what you'll get is like a weird generic error, I find these days, more so than just no response at all. Return otherwise, login response, and we want to do what we do up here in our layout and save it. Const get user info.set. So we come back over here. User info.set user be equal to login response, I think it was. Login. I cleared it before I could get the full object. I have a general idea of what it's supposed to be since I wrote it, but Yep. Why? Good single page applications that are written well should, we'll just keep the whole object as a login response. Good single page applications should keep that intact. It takes some more effort on the part of the developer, but good single page applications should be able to take that into account. And there are, I think, many libraries that will let you do that now. But it also depends on how much effort they want to put in. Like, it's possible to do now, so you don't have to fight it. And if the user successfully logs in, actually, I want to take a look at that. Good old server-side rendering didn't need that. No, but I mean, at the same point, good old server-side rendering didn't allow for some of the functionality that I think people want these days in their applications. And they weren't necessarily, I feel like, as good as, let's say, responsive design. I don't mind. I actually like being able to have a form that doesn't submit a proper post request. I don't mind. But some people do. If the user successfully logs in, connect to home. Wait, we should check for something first. Check for redirect token. Direct token. Find this. They've gotten better at it. If you make it a proper PWA, they've gotten quite a bit better at it, and the functionality's gotten better at it. But it depends on how they do it. It depends on how they do it. You have to be a little bit more judicial with how you develop it, knowing full well that it's going to head in that direction. You can also run into the fact that you have a lot of wrappers around some. So if you build more so a PWA rather than a full-on website and then wrap it with, say, like Electron or Kotlin or an iOS wrapper, it's not so terrible. We need the redirect token as well. I don't think people forget. I think it's an active, as far as I can tell, it's an active decision on our part because the audience, as far as I can tell, these days is meant specifically for smartphones. Like we've completely decided that feature phones, yeah, we just don't care. And it's not that we like hate it, but like the mobile, the latest smartphones do what we want you to do because we want that ecosystem click, the maps, the so forth and so on. Not everyone wants it, but like, um, but like, why wouldn't we want that functionality? And even if you're like, well, what about the other people that don't use it? If and it sounds kind of, I don't want to be elitist, and I'm not trying to be, but like from a cost perspective, at least within the U.S., if you can't afford an iPhone, what exactly are you like? What what advantage would you have in terms of the product? So like that excludes all of like your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagrams. They're just right out. Your Snapchat there, that goes out the window. A lot of just more complex sites, just they go out the window. And I'm not to say that like they, some of them may think about that, but like to, you know, what about all those other apps that I mentioned? Like, what about Snapchat and Twitter and so forth and so on? I haven't checked on them. I don't. Yeah, well, fair enough. But like, I haven't checked on the others. Like, how would that even work? Um, yeah. So I think the idea is that you'd want people who, um, do we still need window.location? That one of the things that Svelte is forcing me to do is, yeah, there it is. Um, is remember a lot of some of the JavaScript that I don't actively use anymore because you use linking in other ways with Angular and React. When you want to do a redirect, you can just send them back to a particular component rather than actually redirect them. Um, token, otherwise, send them home. Return so it doesn't try to send you somewhere else. Slash home. Yeah. Leave the user. They have a token. Redirect. Oh. I know what I want to do. You direct token. Token. Then we want to reset you before we go back. There we go. Yeah, yeah. For the .12 files, from what I saw, you redirect using just normal JavaScript method. So like a link is just a normal a tag, um, whereas for React you would use like a link. Um, Let me take a look. Let's take a look at how I want to keep that open. What can I close? Yeah, I can close you. Looks felt kit redirect. Give me a second. I need to call. Sorry about that. You can throw a redirect. Yeah, you can go to, okay, so you can go to just slash. So if you're not using server-side rendering, if you're using server-side rendering, it looks like you can go either way. But you can pull in either go to, or you can do window.location.href. But the window.location.href, as you saw, mimics a mouse click. So it should hopefully retain the browser history. So, and then before we do that, but it should. I haven't tried it. I by no means am a master of Svelte by any means, but we will test it out shortly. Page, login page, and then what we want to do is change redirect dot token set to the U. All right. Save you. Come back to you. Double check. Test at test.com, and password is going to be equal to test. Login. Don't save it, but if we go back, yep, it kept that history. So the back worked. It took us back to the login page. So again, it maintains that history, which is great. But I see something has failed. Layout. It doesn't look like it retained the user console.log user. Is it because I keep changing stuff, which therefore resets the application? Let's see if it's true. Save. Nope, you see user, then my code is wrong. If user, my code is wrong. I need to flip them. There's my logout. That's correct. On click. Why are you not a proper text? Is there a cursor in Tailwind? Tailwind CSS cursor. Yeah, cursor auto, cursor default. Cursor. Huh, all right, cursor auto. And no, I want cursor pointer. Link, but it should have been there anyway. But who cares? Simple Pay. There's my cursor for log out. So let's do a search by so the logout button. I think I should add in or adjust a few things here. So we have our login and logout working, which means we can now track the user. And now we can also finish the sale page. So product offer. I'm missing something. Here it is, the sale form. Private access members, we don't need 2 of you. And by no means do I think the pages look amazing. These are literally just like templates. They're just, no means do I think they look amazing. But what do we have in our offer? So let's come down here to our offer. Let's see what else is in our schema. We have offer units, offer price. So if we come back here to our svelte, we want to display the offer units and offer price. Available. Product offer price per unit. We should change this over to a price, and I think, let's see, I did that inside my product table. Didn't I? Product offers table. Yep, with this new international format. Let's add it up here. Change you to US dollar format. Pass in the price. Save you $50 per unit. Cool, cool. That's the max you can do. And now we want to handle the purchase. And very specifically, why I needed all of that is because the way that I wrote the endpoint for an actual sale is, and again, I can always change it, is when we do the sale, we have to get the sale user, which means we need the user ID. And we could have just had someone put in the email, but I thought it would be easier just to have it so that they log in once and then it just keeps their user ID. We get the sale offer and the sale product and the number of units that they purchased from the rest of the fields. So we already have the sale offer and the sale product that comes over from the product object inside product offer. So really the thing that we needed to complete a sale, if you will, was the sale user, which we didn't have until we implemented all of the user logic, or some of the user logic on the front end, calculating price, and then href, and pointer cursor, pointer. Let's do button instead, rather than purchase. Yep. So we'll add a button instead, and come back over to our page, and we want an on-click to complete sale. On-click here, and that's what I wanted to do. So if they've enabled the button, and they're logged in, we want to allow the purchase. So we wanted to add another if here. This is if the user exists, and then we'll do an alternative that if user, with an else button. This is login. Search. Want purchase, and we want to do login here. And, I think instead we want to call this go to login rather than do purchase. Let's create our function up here. Let's go to login. I guess we need to be able to, let's see if Svelte has anything inside of it that gets the current URL. Svelte kit get current route. How do I get the current route? Import page. Oh, all right. Cool. So it's Stack Overflow. Let's give it a try. Import page. One of the things that I really like on a random note about some of the autocorrects and script cleanups is when it takes and organizes your imports alphabetically. It's dumb. I know that like it's the smallest of things, but I really appreciate that. Like for some strange reason, I do. Save the current path to the redirect token. Again, send the user to the login page. So since we've already done it for the login, we'll do href, and this is just login. So sales form, it's going to be you, and we're just taking you to login. So that takes care of you. Get the current path, which we do here. Save the current path to the redirect token, which means we need to import the redirect token. There we go, comma, redirect, and redirect.set object token current path. And I guess really we can just make it simpler and just say page.url.path name. But let me double check something before we do the redirect. Let's console.log it. I want to see what it looks like beforehand. So let's refresh. Log out. Log out does it. There we go. Looks like if I do log out, I need to do a page refresh because it doesn't seem to take place immediately. But I'll double check that. I might need to. So if we increase you, all right, sales form, if user do purchase, else called it the same thing. Log in, purchase. Let's at least stub it out to purchase so that we have something. All right. So we've not logged in. And we say login /sale/ yep, cool. That's what we want to keep. So we have the current path console. We have all those pieces. It will redirect you to the login. Let's actually give it a try. Let's refresh. I could be nice and have it save the number of units that the person has picked, but let's not log in. Let's come over here and let's do test password and then log in. Up, and it's taking you back to our product. Exactly what we wanted. And now you can come in here and do the purchase. Sweet. So now the purchase part, where we grab all the information. So we need the user, and what we need for the post is the sale user. So const sale object is going to be equal to, we need a sale user, which is going to be equal to user._id. And I guess to make it easier on myself, I can create an interface for that. Yep, let's make a new interface file, user.interface. Oh yeah, by the way, I found out how to do TypeScript. For those who might not know, I was struggling with how to get these TypeScript pieces in place, and you have to tell it that you specifically you have to make the TypeScripts into Svelte. I originally was thinking that you could just leave them as .ts files, but that seemed to cause a whole bunch of issues. So it's much easier to just make them as Svelte files and then import them as needed. ID and email. And then you can come over here to, where's our store? Let's see. How do we do it on this? No, we did it up here. Product types, yeah, import types from Svelte. And I wonder, well, no, we're doing it from somewhere else. So, no. Oh, yeah. So that seems to work. Um, let's see. So that seems to work. And then let's take a look at something else. So we have our sale form. That's all component. It doesn't like it. Let's see if we can come back here over to here. I have to play around with that. I will have to play around with that. Because it doesn't seem to like it. But we need a sale user. What else do we need? We need sale user, sale offer, product, and then lastly, we need the number of units. So the sale offer is going to come from what we already have. And so we can just say product.offer.id. Oh, let's try that TS thing again. Create a .ts file, export the things. I did. That's what I was saying. I found that if I, where is it? Yeah, here it is. I was able to pull in that by making all of my Svelte files, by making all of these into, instead of leaving them as TypeScript files, leaving them as here. So I have to say language ts context.mobile, and I was able to bring that in, and now it works just fine without complaining. I can just say import type offer props from the library interfaces Svelte and offer props. So by bringing all of them in individually as this script language equals ts for TypeScript context module, and then export blah blah blah, that seems to, and I have to make them .svelte files. That seems to work just fine. And then I can use them because I use category here and product. That seems to work fine. I do have to say import type though, so that seems to work just fine. So that's what I've been doing. Product offer dot offer product dot ID, and then the number of units, which we're going to get from here. That creates a sale object. Let's get, instead of view, will the user object. Let's import type. Interfaces. will be okay, but I don't like that red. Let's see. Does not exist on type string. I wonder. Let's get object with type. Let's see. So for object property. So we'd have to create a special property for it. I don't know if it's worth it. Those optional fields. So many updates. tsconfig. Let data equals object. So it looks like to do it inside of here, we'd need to create an object literal. Let me see something. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I am. Var x property string. Oh, that's no. I'm gonna have to define it, aren't I? Am I? I'm gonna have to define it. I wonder if I can do user slash. I can. Let's see. I just don't do it too often. Yeah. Object literal. Yep. Yep. Might have to create an interface. So let's create an interface. New file. User info. Dot interface. Interface dot felt. Let's go that route. User info. It's going to consist of a user type user. And I believe come over here and say user info. Let's see. Yeah, that should. Oh no, that's not right. I don't know if it's worth it. Or, oh, I know what I can do. I can come up here and say const initial user info. User info. Oh. Oh. Did I forget? No. Export const user info. Did I misspell it? Nope. What? Where'd you come from? All right. Let's do user info.interface.spell. All right. But you're still grumpy about it. Import. Not used as value. Set to error. What? From. Now what are you grumpy about? Oh, it can only be used in import file into TypeScript files. So I don't know. Seems like an awful lot of work. Let's get it working without it, and then we can come back. Sale object. Let's do a fetch here, similar to our login page, and then we can come back to figuring that piece out. We'll mimic what you do here. I guess, again, same thing. I should create some type of response. And did I create the sale endpoint? Sale endpoints. Sale endpoint, I did. So I need to grab base URL and the sale endpoint, which I did not. Huh, all right. Let's do the same thing we do up here, which is nothing apparently. Nothing there either. Products. Oh, let's grab it from here then. We want base URL, sale form, base URL, sale endpoint. Then what do we want to do here? Let's create the full sale URL. Const sale URL. Oh, I'm going to try and doing a slightly different video or different live stream on Sunday. I want to try to stream some random game just to see and chit chat, but we'll see how that goes. It may go horribly wrong. Base URL and sell endpoint, and equals this will make you asynchronous, async, await, post, JSON stringify our sale object response. I guess we should actually just show what the error is, since I have all the error handling put into place on the back end. So let's see what the error is. Let's see what that bad data looks like. Before console.log response, and then return. Let's send some bad data over. Const bad sale object is going to be equal to the following. Yeah, we'll send the bad data over and see what that response comes back as. Bad data response, and we'll debugger here so that we can see what that looks like. Simple bay, refresh, do one, purchase. Let's see what we get back. response status not found. Body. Okay, so let's do response. Log response.json. Yep, not found. Let's display you. Let's try that again. Purchase. Console.log. Yeah. So wait. Debugger, play, refresh. Let's try once more. Into the breach. My friends, once more into the breach. Yep, there we go. So, would it be better to response with a 410 gone instead of 400? Yeah, no, I don't. Gone request? I don't know. I don't have a strong enough opinion about it, but let's take a look. Because I think I have it doing a not found for all the responses offer service. So it's probably because I'm doing the offer not found. But I guess you could say a 410 isn't bad, gone instead, but I went with offer not found, so that's why I went with the not found exception. And the same thing with the product not found, because the terminology that I'm using is not found rather than I say offer not found or product not found, and so I use a 404 for the not found exception. But I think if I worded it differently, if I had said the offer not available, then I would change it over to the gone. Fair enough. I don't know. Yeah, true. Yeah, no, that's not a bad idea. Now I don't know off the top of my head what all of this felt. The Nest.js, so you'll have to bear with me, since this is my first project in Nest.js, and there's an exceptions list. So I'm throwing a very specific exception here in Nest.js. Let's see, is there a gone status? Bad, unauthorized, not found, not acceptable. Conflict, oh, there it is. So yeah, I can throw the gone exception. And yeah, gone exception. I'll have to add it in import. All right. So that's for the offer not found. The product not found, that one I think is okay as a 404. But I think you're right. There's nothing wrong with swapping out the gone exception. The product not found means that they've tried to find a product, and the product wasn't found, and then that's a bad request. There shouldn't be. The products don't go away. The offers do. Yeah, I guess potentially, especially on the offer endpoint. I think you might be right. If I come back over here to my product endpoint, where we get a product, and I don't think we actually return. Yeah, we would, if the product isn't found, we just returned it empty. But I think you're right. If we were to try to go to a specific product and it's gone, then I agree we would switch over to the gone endpoint. But in this particular instance, it's fine if we just do. I think for this service, we'll leave the offer not found. We'll switch it over to the gone exception. Thank you for the catch. I appreciate that. So where were we? We've gone over to our sale form. The response is not okay. And ultimately, we can choose. I think I'll just, wait, what did I come back with? Simple Bay. Let's see. We'll just display the message, because again, I handle all of the messages. I had added Nest. Let me be more specific. Nest already comes with a lot of error handling built in, which is really nice. So I can just choose to throw, and it'll say not found in the message. So I'll add another to do here. Display mobile with error, but I will just alert the error response is going to be equal to a wait there, and then we will alert error response dot message. It's lazy, I know it is. I'm just not. I'm trying to get like a large part. Let's take a look at that. What is IRC.org? Oh, for problem details for each. They've become more popular and more common in the JavaScript space. I don't know if you saw in Nest.js. So again, this is built on Node, and it gives you a bunch of exceptions to throw in here, and it automatically will throw the status code that goes along with it. By default, Nest.js, unless you tell it specifically otherwise, gives 200s. So you don't have to worry about returning status 200 with everything, so forth and so on. It'll automatically do that unless you say specifically status 500 or status 404. And we've gotten, I think, much better at giving off or giving the proper, trying to create the proper endpoints. So I think we've gotten better at it. I don't want to say everyone is. I know they don't necessarily teach new developers that, but I think some of the mid and senior level developers have gotten better at it. So we set the user info. We're good here. We just want to actually build this, that. We actually have to do a successful one. We don't want to constant not login response, sale response, and I don't know where I want to take the user after the sale response is done. I guess I should see what the actual sale response looks like first. Alert message console.log, and I know what the sale response is. I just don't know where I want to take the person afterwards. Do I want to take them back to the search page? Will I leave them at the current page with just a little message? I don't know. No, I really didn't have a plan for that. I guess once they're here, I mean, technically they can they do have the potential of purchasing another of the exact product. I guess from a user perspective, Amazon won't let you. Will just, you want to buy another roll of paper towels? Go ahead, buy another roll of paper towels and go through the whole shipping thing again. So I guess technically just giving them some type of message. We'll add a to do here. Add message for successful purchase, but we will at least alert sale response, and let's look at what that looks like from over here. Do I have a good? Oh, I don't know if I have a good one. I don't think I do. Let's just go through here. Let's see what the actual sale response is, since we have it pulled up. Play, refresh. Units 1, purchase. Ooh, that didn't go well. So, oh, I left in bad data. Literally, I left in bad sale object. So refresh. This object, it returns successful sale. I don't know. I guess it should be fine. I guess we should grab the ID and convert it over into a proper sale response should be a sale. Did I create that? I did not. I did not. I did not create a proper sale. Let's do a sale interface. Sale interface dot svelte add. Let's create one of view user. A proper sale as the following: an ID, sale offer, and sale user. Copy object. What? Let's copy the whole thing. Apparently I opened up my printer scanner object. So, where were we? It's going to have an ID, sale offer, sale product, sale units, which is going to be a number, and then sale user, which will be another string. And then we can come back over here to the sale form. You're going to be a type of sale. Port sale, so we have it. What are you grumpy about? Did I not? Export type sale. Sale. Dot response sale. Dang. It's unused. Cannot resolve symbol sale. Why can't you resolve you? Export type sale. Export type sale. Did I forget to product offer export product offer? Oh, I know what you are. You work, but you're giving me really weird red things. Alright. Alright, we'll let it go for now. If sale response dot ID alert sale successful. And then again we'll add another to do, because I think modules will be nice here. Add success module. Now I want to see how we do that in Svelte, because I think we're at an okay spot for a sale. Purchase, sale successful, and then if we refresh, cool, we can increase the number of units. We should probably refresh the page. Alert, sale successful, and window.reload. Window.reload. Is it window.reload? Audit window.location of code. That seems to be the better. It'll reload the page because when we purchase a product, we don't necessarily get the updated offer. So when you purchase, offers have a limited number of quantities, and when you purchase a specific number of units, it on the back end subtracts from the units available, but I don't have it. And actually, I guess I really can just have it. Reloading the page is probably going to be just as useful as forcing it to re-get the new product. But I think it's something I'll think about if I do another project, having it reload. But we're at an okay spot there. We don't have a way to get back to search though, so let's add a column here div class, and I really liked, there it is, grid column 2. Let's grab you and put you here so that we can do our search. Do a div side with an href equals slash. Yeah, we'll just go slash and we'll go to search. We'll increase your class, increase that. You come back here. It's way too far over to the left. 7. Start 1. I think. Let's take a look at something. Let's take a look at something. Grid. Let's wrap you inside of a grid. I like that. Offer page. Oh, that's what I did. That's what I remembered. Nope, never mind. I forgot it. I'm just babbling like a madman. There we go. So, grid. I liked you better. Justify content center. I think I broke it though. Justify flex. Nope, we don't want to flex columns. Hold on a second. I think. But we don't want to justify center. Still a little far apart, but let's see if we can play around with that. Column start 5. All right, that's much better. So there's a lot of damn space though, a lot of damn space, and I think that's my fault. Of course it is, since I'm the one who made it. So yep, it's my PX6. So if we come back over here to our sale page and view large 82 view, why are you still so big? That's a huge gap. Let's take a look. Ooh, where are you? PY32. Hold on. PY32. 32. 32. That's me. PY32. It's all me. 32. Wow. Let's do like 10. Much better. Well, it's still a bit wide. Let's do like 3? Maybe. Yeah. Still pretty wide gap there. Let's just not search for a product. There are a couple things I realized about this that I forgot to send it to the back end, as when I send it to the back end I need to split it up. So if you do league, so it should look for league and of. So if you do league and legends, let's see, I don't think I have it. Nope, and it should. So I realized one of the problems with my endpoint is that it doesn't actually split up by spacing. So let's come over here to our back end, but we have it so that we've done a successful sale. Let's take a look at that. The sales, refresh. So can we get you? There we go. So we've done a successful sale. Very cool. We have products, we have users, offers, and categories. Nice. So the next pieces are once we have a product search, which we do. We have our product search, takes you over to our list of offers. Oh, I know what I need to fix is if you come to the offer table and you're not logged in, we have to roll that back. So we are similar to this, where we need to get the user from the product offers table. Get the user. Then if the user is logged in, we already have that logic in place. If the user exists, come back over here to our sale form, and we have the do login piece right here. We just add that same piece right here. Go to login, action. I wanted to swap you out anyway. Okay. Let's do as a button for you. Oh, I did. Tap href on click. So you're going to the sale offer. You're fine. It is. I don't know. Button on click. Such a weird syntax for me to get used to. On:click. I mean, it's not horrible. I'm used to either click in Angular or on click from React rather than just on:click. But it's not that far from it. I'm just blanking every time I look at it. I'm like, what? On click? On click? And you are gonna go to login when they click. Let's log out. Refresh. When we go to login, takes you right back. I'm happy that logic is working. I realized that on our layout page, when we log out, we should probably do a refresh. So window.location.reload. So we no longer need the console log the user. Let's double check for any other remaining console logs. Nope. So we're clean on console logs. And let's take some notes here. So take some notes. So we need to split the search by spaces. We need to add a sign up form. Part of that is going to be adjust the login form to offer sign up. And then we need a add product or add offer button, and all that's going to do is that add button, add offer button. All that's going to do is when someone wants to create an offer, they can, and we'll just add it along the top. So if they're not signed in, if they're not logged in, we shall add the sign in, login, and create offer buttons to the top. So let's go back over here to our layout, log out. Do we need this? Let's see what happens when we take it away. Oops. Nope. What happens if we do another one? Call start. Let's see, cursor grid column. So call end 3, call start 2, 5, call. We just do call. I don't know. Nope. Uh-oh. I guess. Elasticsearch, like from well, since I'm doing it all by hand, I would just use JavaScript. You can just do there's a .split function in JavaScript. And again, I'm just running this off of just a local, so it would just be I would pull in the data, split it, and then chain them with an OR. So all of that logic for that sits over here in my product. Yeah, here it is in our product service. So we search for an OR product name. Sorry, that's that OR. But I would build a more complex space query here where I'd bring it in, split it. Yeah, I split the search by spaces and then build a dynamic mongoose where clause. Yep, and you would do an OR. It would be pretty massive though. It's not hard. You just loop through it. So after you split it out, you'd loop through it and say product name regex. But there might be an easier way. There might be an easier way these days. So let's see. Let's look for mongoose. And the name of the MongoDB library is mongoose. So mongoose split word search. Let's see if this has it. Maybe. Da, da, da. Once upon a time X. Nope. Split word. I misspelled it. We came to our limit with MySQL queries for our searches and had to use Elastic. Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. It looks like you can do something along the lines of this, where you split it, map it, and then you can do this. So it looks like it's slightly easier. Return title regex options S. Yeah, there you go. So you split it here. Yeah, so you could do this. That's what I would do is, actually, I might as well just implement it now since I'm already here. I'll just split it, break it into these pieces, and then go that. Again, this is a really simple DB. That's why I chose MongoDB for this particular project. If this was a more complex database, then I would probably lean towards like MySQL or MariaDB or Postgres if I needed relations. But I base it depending upon what I need. So like you're only ever going to have a relation. There is a relationship between category and product, and then an offer is attached to a product, which is attached to a category. But it's a very simple relationship. You can just say, hey, get me the one category for this product, get me the one category, one product for this offer, one category for this product. And then the offers are just like literally a list that match the criteria. The user isn't being really referenced across or connected to anything on a relative basis. So it's pretty simple. But I also don't play around with MongoDB, but so much, so I thought it would be nice for this project. Is it product name that I call it? I did. Let product name search equal, and we should only need to do this once. Const search split is going to be equal to DTO that split. And then we can just do search split dot map. I've used it before, but not very often. Grumpy about? Oh. Turn. Fine with that. Oh, I forgot to do that. Oh no, I don't need to. This should be description search. Product description search. It's going to be. We've already split it, so we're just not mapping it. Return title. It's going to be product name. Product description. Something. We can be about. It's grumpy about something that I'm trying to figure out what it is. I think it is how we're doing it, but should be. Or conditional. I think it doesn't like. Well, you do the same thing down here. What is that about? What? that about? Let's try something. Object. Let's break it down into pieces. What are you grumpy about? All right. Yeah. Product name. And then looks like we should be able to do that. Product name. One more extra. All right. That's just weird. That's just weird. It's the same thing. Product name, map, da da da. I don't know why it's so weird about it. I'll do the same thing up here. And then at one point I want to do a project with GraphQL where I actively use it. Most of the time I've used it for already existing projects. The next one I want to use it for is GraphQL. One of the things I want to try is GraphQL. So map, split, return, product description. And then $regex $s $options quote I. We could do single quote I to keep it consistent. All right, and then we need to finish it off with a curly brace, our curly brackets, and then we want to concatenate the two together to fill in our final base query. Is going to be equal to this. So that. Nope. Should be equal to that. So product name search. Concat. Product description search. What are you grumpy about? What are you grumpy about? No overloaded matches makes this call. Product. String. Why are you been grumpy about the concat? Oh, I can't concat in that particular instance because it's giving me. Should be dot map s return. Oh, I see. I think I need an extra curly brace, but then it's grumpy about it. So two. Oh, let's put this to the side. So let's see. Let's return. We've already split it. Then one curly bracket, two curly bracket, then the title. What's going on? Because I need. No. It is really grumpy about that. I think I'll need to investigate how I can do this. But it looks like we should be able to, maybe. But let's double check this. Split string by space and make array map to regular expression. Try to include. We don't want an in, we want an or. So we're going to take our title. No, it doesn't like this at all. Let's see. Let's see if, let's try something here. Let's try search DTO dot search dot split. It's really grumpy about this. It is really grumpy about this. But I know that that should be correct. At least that part is. But it doesn't like that. I think I'm going to go and try another solution. Split a string into array of split word by space. Text. Split a string into array of text search by space. Escape. Why would you? Let's do a Mongo find with array of words. Let's see if that gives us a better results. If array contains a value, find array of words. Let's do a $ or lookup. Foods is an array. So do in. Now you want an or though. Find and an array of object. Find more. Not quite what I was looking for. And I may come back to this. How to do with an array of strings. Do an array. Let the array object be. Not quite. Calling find array of strings. I don't know. I don't think I have to. I think the regex will support it. It's just finding the right syntax, and I don't deal with MongoDB often enough. Find multiple strings. Find in some other title. It's the in that I'm struggling with. It's not the or. So like I see the in. And I want to do, yeah, see or, and I can manually just split it and build it that way, and I might have to. So let's do it a much more manual way. So split, and what we want to do is we want to map a string, and for each, so it's going to give us an array, and we want it to look like this. And so what we want to return is an object. We do want to return an object. But why is it giving us this weird? Oh, it is. That's right. That's right. We do want that. We want this array and this array. And then we want to, so that's right. I was not, that's what we want. We just can't concat the two because they're different types, because it's TypeScript. So it does work. It's not a MongoDB issue. It is a TypeScript issue. TypeScript says that product description search is of a type of an object product description regex option array, because we didn't specifically type these out. So I would need to create an interface that allows this to exist, or no, I think it's going to complain either way, but let's give it a try. Product description. Let's see if it will let me do that. Yes. Let me double check, make sure I've got that right for the JavaScript spread operator. Spread operator concat. Let me double check. Cat to, yeah, arrays in this way. Oh, so it's comma dot dot dot. Yep, I did it wrong. So let's see if it complains about that. Nope. So there we go. So it was a TypeScript issue. So that's the base query. And then we do the same or down here. Nice. Yeah, it was a TypeScript issue. It wasn't a JavaScript. It wasn't it's not a problem with JavaScript. JavaScript itself doesn't care. It was a TypeScript issue, and it wasn't a MongoDB issue. So we have those two pieces. Let's see if it actually works after all of that fretting. I am but a player who frets upon the stage. I don't think that's the exact quote. Did I do that? I went away. So now if we do League and Legends, there we go. And now we have to test to see if the category works. Not in books, but in games and all categories. Cool. So yeah, it was a problem with the fact it did split it correctly, but because I didn't strongly type it here, it looked, it created again a unique object of product name, an array with a dynamic type of product name regex and options, and because it's different from product description, it therefore saw it as two distinct types. And didn't allow the .concat on them. But this seems to work just fine using the spread operator to concatenate these two objects, or these two arrays. So that works. So that split up the starts. Why is that done? Let's add a sign up form, and I don't know if we'll have time for much more tonight. We'll at least have the base sign up form, and then next we'll just view the offer button, and then polishing on the project, kind of like fix little things, maybe add a mode aisle here and there, and then I have to find another project. And again, if anyone has any ideas for another project, I'll probably stick to web-based for the time being. But I was thinking, even though it'll probably be really hard, I want to try to make a Space Invaders game. I don't know how hard it would be in straight JavaScript, but I, I, I really, I am nostalgic for the old school Space Invaders. At least in my head, I am. So I'm like, maybe I should try to make Space Invaders. I'll be using JavaScript, so it'll be JavaScript with that'll just be JavaScript. I'll see whether it's vanilla, but it'll probably, I can't think of any component off the top of my head, so it'll be just straight JavaScript. I'll have to look. It might. I don't know. I haven't resigned myself to what I'm going to do next. Um, but I for some reason in my head, Space Invaders hit me as like a thing. I was like, Space Invaders, yeah. Um, and I haven't tried too much of the UI stuff before. I've mainly resolved myself. I do a lot of business applications. That's where the money is, as I'm sure you know. People want websites to, handle their finances, websites to manage their budgets, and websites to import data and display things. So the majority of where I've spent my time is in the business space, um, and with business applications, and marketing websites. There've been I spent a few years doing websites for companies that do marketing. Oh, oh wow! I've It's 11 o'clock. I do apologize. I may have to depart before 3 hours. I have a student. Yeah, I do apologize. I have a student. I'll have to stop this. I have part of the sign up done, but clearly it's by no means complete. So Sunday I'll be streaming a game, and then probably Monday I will continue on writing. I'll continue writing this application. But I do have to go now. I do apologize. I have a student who needs tutoring in PHP. So thank you very much for hanging out with me for these past couple of hours. And thank you everyone for your advice and input on this. I appreciate it. Um, I I mean, it's the process I go through where I'm looking things up and trying to figure out how things go, and I'm by no means a master of Svelte. So thank you everyone for your help with all of this, and I appreciate it. And everyone have a good evening, and